Joining me now, Tom Homan, the man tapped as Trump's border czar. He's going to oversee the enforcement of the border, the deportation of millions of migrants who game the system, many of them criminals, who are allowed in under fraudulent circumstances. Tom, thank you for joining us. This testimony, it was so hard to watch. I forced myself to watch it because we all, as Americans, need to watch this. Your reaction to what you just heard?
You know, Laura, a lot of people ask me why I get so emotional when I do Fox News and why I scream at members of Congress. Because I've seen so much tragedy. I've talked to hundreds of angels and moms and dads who buried their children because they're killed by illegal alien. This is the latest. You know, I've talked to little girls as young as 9 years old that were raped multiple times by members of cartel. When you look in her eyes and everything innocent and pure has been ripped from her soul, and her life will never be the same. I mean, it's just, I'm tired of it. And the government failed the Lake and Riley family. Not only, if President Trump was president, he'd be sitting in Mexico in the Remain in Mexico program. And if he did get to New York and he was arrested for injury to a child in New York, ICE would be able to arrest him because the priorities under Trump were if you're in the country illegally, you're a target. But because Secretary Mayorkas put the priorities so low, even the injury to the child didn't meet the standards, so ICE could even place a detainer on him. So this is purely, it could have been prevented. This young lady's dead, and I want every mayor, every governor of a sanctuary jurisdiction to listen to that tape, listen to this young girl fight for her life, fight for her breath, trying to survive, terrified. Think of I want you to understand what she went through. Like the 9-year-old boy, the 5-year-old boy in the back of the tractor trailer that I held, I found him dead, that baked to death. I thought about what the last hour of his life was like. You need to listen to this tape. And for those governors and mayors who are saying they're going to stop Tom Homan, they're going to stop President Trump, shame on you. Your responsibility is to protect your communities, and that's what we want to do, is protect your community.
Well, Tom, we have the Boston mayor saying she's not going to help. We have other sanctuary city mayors and other leaders, governors, saying they're not going to take part in this mass deportation. But we know American citizens overwhelmingly support deporting people from this country. Take us through how it will work, what lists you will cross-reference to try to find the people that are here, and how will this play out?
Well, first of all, so those people who say they're going to stop us from what they're doing, they will not. I'm going to do this job. Men and women of ICE are going to do this job. You're not going to stop us. But let me give you a word of advice. If you impede us, there's going to be consequences. You cannot help us, but also read Title 8, United States Code 1324 III. It is a felony to harbor and conceal, knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien. So read that statute and don't cross that line. But look, President Trump has made it clear. Coming around the gate is public safety threats and national security threats, and we have plenty of them to find. Under the Biden administration, removal of criminal aliens has decreased 74%. So we got a target-rich environment. So we're going to prioritize those public safety threats. And for any governor or mayor who doesn't want public safety threats taken out of their communities, you should resign your office, because your number one responsibility is to protect those communities. We have ways to find people. I'm not going to explain it here on national TV because it's law enforcement sensitive, no. But we will find many of these folks. They will be arrested, they'll be detained, and they'll be removed. And so, because what these facilities do, and get back on sanctuary cities, they don't want us in the jails, which means we got to go to the community and find them. So these sanctuary cities are putting officers at risk, because rather than the safety and security of jail, we can take them into custody easily. Now we got to send a team to the street to arrest them on his turf. We have access to who knows what weapons. It puts the officer at great risk. It puts the alien at great risk. It puts the community at great risk, and they're going to force our hand on this. So I'm going to pray every night that men and women of ICE go home to their families every night after taking the bad guys off the street.
No, I don't think Joe and Kamala gave a rip about what was going to happen to the poor members of ICE who have to actually carry out their duties. I don't think they care. I mean, I'm sorry. They don't act like they care. They don't call the victims of these horrible illegal alien monsters who brutalize children and young girls. They don't care about calling them. Not anything. I want to get back to how you move these people out of the country and how you detain them before they're removed, Tom, because I know Texas has offered 1,500 acres for basically a super detention facility to house people as they're processed out. Do you imagine you will utilize that area for this type of operation?
We absolutely will. When we find somebody, it's a targeted enforcement operation. When they get arrested, they'll be detained. They have to be detained for a short while we get travel documents from their host country. Host country has to agree that, yeah, they're our national. We get travel documents. We get flight arrangements, flight agreements. So we're going to detain them for a little while. Sanctuary states said they're not going to allow any detention facilities in their state. Fine. Then we'll arrest them. We'll fly them out of the state and detain them outside the state, again, away from their families and their attorneys. That's what you want. That's what you get. You're not going to stop us doing what we're going to do. So we'll move them to a state where we can detain them. There's plenty of sheriffs across this country who are willing to give us empty beds. They want the funding, and we can put them in a jail all across the country. We'll have no problem finding a place to detain these people. It's going to cost money, so we got to have the money to do it. But President Trump's going to do everything he can to make sure we have the funds to do this. So they will be arrested, detained, put in an airplane, and go home.
But Tom, there are a lot more people than that, right? There are millions and millions of people who are here under fraudulent circumstances. They didn't really qualify for asylum, but they're here. And they're going to be emotional videos. You know what it's going to be. Tom Homan's mean. Here's a mother and her child, and you're shipping them back, or you're separated. That is, I just know that's coming. They're going to rely on that to try to shut this down. Think they can pressure you to shut this down?
No, they're going to pressure Tom Homan to shut it down. You can write all the negative stories you want of me. I don't care. Because here's the issue. You can't send millions of people to the border, demand the right to see a judge, demand the right to make a fraudulent asylum claim. Okay, we'll give you due process at great taxpayer expense. But at the end of that due process, the federal judge orders you removed. You're going to be removed. Because what is the option? If we don't remove them, then shut down the immigration court, because the court order doesn't mean anything anymore. So shut down the immigration court, take the border patrol off the border, because there's no consequences violating our law. You can't demand due process, not accept the final decision of the courts. And if you don't do that, we'll never solve the southwest border or the northern border crisis, because then you send a message to the whole world. You can enter the country legally, which is a crime. You can see a judge get order removed, and we're not going to remove you. You're never going to fix it. Never going to fix it.
Tom, we're just learning that there's another caravan that's been growing. It's now at 1,500 migrants, and it's rushing to the border, trying to get there, obviously, before Inauguration Day. Your message to them tonight and to the Biden administration that I imagine will, perhaps wave a lot of these people in.
I think President Trump needs to make a phone call down there and tell them they're going to stop that caravan, and they're going to have consequences like he did before. And if you want to spend every bit of your money, you want to sell your house and your savings and give it to the criminal cartels that come to America, understand this. You're not going to be staying. You're going to be leaving. We're going to make sure of that. Look, I've talked about prioritization of public safety threats and national security threats, but if you're in the country illegally, you're not off the table. We're just going to prioritize a smart way, take the worst first that pose the most danger to this community. But if you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. You enter the country illegally, which is a crime, and you're going to be held accountable.
Maybe to go back on your own. Go back on your own recognizance first. Self-deport. Maybe you'll have a chance someday of coming back into the country. Tom, this is going to be a huge undertaking, and we're so glad that you are the one doing it. Thank you very much.